Well, I can't do my normal intro because Glimo stole that from me in the pre-chat. So this is King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, episode 40. Hey, Glimo, thanks for that 76-month resub.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, ma'am. I really appreciate it almost as much as I appreciate you stealing my thing. Hey, I learned yesterday that I shouldn't be allowed to do intros. So we're going to skip any intro we have on this, the Christmas Miracle episode, and instead, Kendric, Gwgan, and Kyned ride on their horses in the middle of the night, charging through a barely open gate door into the open grounds of, I wouldn't call this a castle. Is a Mott and Bailey really considered a castle? I don't think so.
In this time period, yes.
Okay, you ride into the castle. For you, this is a moment you've been waiting for. You're fully tense, ready to go. The men that you see around you, some of them are struggling with the gatekeeper now that they've realized that he's betrayed them. But your follow-up, your best knights riding behind you, easily cut them down with swords and lances as they too enter into the camp. More knights come, forcing the door fully open, and at that point your levies begin pouring in. Surrounded by the Knights of Sir Paul, they begin systematically surrounding the interior of the camp as men with no arms or armor stumble out of tents or from buildings, and you ride on the central tower where your target awaits. You can hear someone howling from in the tower, screaming, "They didn't bring me that witch! They didn't bring me the damn witch! But dishonor! How dare they attack?" And you see that a man wearing knight clothes, holding a sheathed sword, has like stumbled from the tower and is berating all of you while shaking his sword at your three horses. It's difficult for you to hear him over the fact that there's a bunch of screaming. Torches are going wild everywhere. You're riding horses at full speed, but you're pretty sure that this is the leader of this particular camp. He is super murderable right now, but he seems to be yelling something about it would be honorable to wait until I get my clothes on so we can have this fight. Wait!
I mean, in the spirit of Christmas, shouldn't we do this resolve this as like a football match instead, like in World War One when the two sides came out of the trenches?
It's not Christmas in game. It's only
okay,
Christmas out of game. It's midsummer in game.
It's always Christmas somewhere.
That's not even remotely how Christmas works. Now, I agree, James, that there are many people that believe that's how Christmas works, but they're all fucking wrong.
It's Christmas in some department store.
You ride on I think this is Wallingford, right? Ride on Wallingford to face Sir Basile.
Yes.
Uh-oh. You know how I said I was ready in Roll20?
Uh-huh.
Seems I put the wrong password in.
All right, so I've criticaled my sword roll to kill this man.
No, you didn't. What do you want to do now that I've remembered what my password is?
Did you want to give him time to?
Is
Absolutely not.
Still suffering from his?
I think we established
his madness.
that is like like you're still fully capable of functioning. You're just really mad at the Countess, right? I think that's something we said, that like
Yes.
you're not maddened or impassioned in any way at this moment. I think you're just kind of maulding. Yes, you are attacking Wallingford, and with it, Sir Basile. I mean, Kendric, it sounds like you're not intent on letting this guy have an honorable death.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think Kendric shouts, honor is for those who keep their word and remain loyal to their lieges. And he's like gonna cut this dude down.
Okay. Let's sword off. You have a +5 on this because of your battle roll, and you have a +5 for being mounted as well.
I have a +10 total.
That sounds right to me.
That is a 12.
You ride past him. The speed of your warhorse, the strength of your swinging arm, your whole weight and body pushing down on this man. He gets the sword unsheathed and he goes for like the perfect iframe block against you. And for a brief moment, it looks like it's going to work. And then the fact that he's a dude not wearing shoes in the middle of the night on wet grass works against him. His sword shatters and your sword embeds itself in his chest as he slides backwards, clearly taking what will be... We don't have to roll damage. I mean, you're full on hitting a man with no armor with the sword, with the weight of armor and horse behind it. Like, it's not good. He is basically killed almost instantly. And yeah, I mean, he hits the ground and your sword like has to be pulled free. Gore goes flying with it.
Does he have like a banner or personal colors or some sort of?
He has the banner of the three brothers here.
Okay.
He also that banner is placed slightly beneath the banner of Ridichan, which they now claim to own. So
okay. So I think that we'll grab like as many sort of accoutrement that has his symbol on it smeared with blood and like pass it out to be shown around so that the message gets out there as fast as possible that the usurper has been slain.
What is the plan here then? Is the plan to allow for the surrender of the knights and men-at-arms here?
It's not like Sir Kendric would not have given like a no quarter order. Okay. Like if they throw down their arms, we will take them captive.
Okay. Anyone that does not have siege as a skill can take siege at 1 now. And anyone that does have it can check it. It is a combat skill, I believe.
That's it. Okay. Well, I will.
I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter where you put it on your sheet.
Yeah.
It is somewhat difficult to control your levies. They spent all day psyching themselves up with fear. They've run in here now. And to be fair, every person they kill is a person that they can loot for money legally free.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see some intentional situational deafness as people are like going into buildings with long poles and stabbing men in the middle of the night and then looting their goods immediately.
Things like this are known to happen, especially at a night attack.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys? Horrifying.
Yeah.
James, you're the reason why women prefer the bear. You want a little taste of last night's intro hour? I also prefer the bear to just about any situation.
I prefer the mad bear.
Wow. Okay. You would, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's me, so.
You quickly move to secure Wallingford. Everyone can roll a d6, and that is how much loot you end up getting. How many pounds loot you receive? As it's not specifically that you're looting anything. This is your knights and armsmen basically bringing you your cut of tribute from this place.
I found this for you, sir.
Who's the? I still haven't played it yet, but is his name Adelbard in Rogue Trader?
Abelard.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
Abelard.
Here you go, sir. Found this for you, sir. It would, you'd be surprised. It was in an unmarked crate in the castle treasury. The losses of the defenders of Wallingford are bad. They're not all dead. You take at least 2 knights prisoner and 5 men at arms, but many of them simply died in their sleep or were slaughtered by your men, who are frankly unrepentant about it. I mean, you're getting the feeling that these peasant levies, if they're here, they're not working your manor and lands, which means they're not giving you your due, which means they need to make money another way. And frankly, coming out here with sticks and wooden armor or just heavily padded clothing, not great when they know that they're besieging castle versus knights with hard steel. So they're taking every opportunity to advance themselves somewhat viciously. And morale is up as a result. But I think you see, especially among the knights, there is some reticence here. The slaughtering of Sir Basile does not sit well with some of the knights who are perhaps disquieted. While you may be, let's call it progressive and egalitarian about the Countess's rule, not everyone in the county is bound. They might be bound to service, but they certainly are allowed to have their own hearts and minds about the matter. And I don't want to say it's the misogynistic rule, but it certainly is true that male inheritors are more popular among knights. They're watching you cut this man down while he calls for honor is putting a test, a question in your leadership, Sir Kendric. A quiet one, not one spoken aloud, but in glances over stew.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I feel like when we told our men we were attacking under the cover of darkness while the gates be open, part of that conversation would have been to afford no honor to these people because they broke their own honor by not keeping their lord.
And I think, like, one of the things that Kendric will hammer on is that these men were dishonorable before the Countess took over. They were dishonorable while the king was still alive. So they never had honor.
I would like to see some dice, sir.
Sure. What would you like?
Sir. I think this could be orate. I don't know that there's specifically like a leadership skill in this game.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not like leading troops in a battle, so it's probably not battle. So yeah, I think orate's the way to go. Ooh, critical, baby.
Wow.
So all of this still happens. Like, your speech before the battle is critical. The talk, the glances are just talking glances. Nothing comes of it. There's no muttering. Just men quietly questioning the way things work or their own conscience. But more than half the men here are eating another camp's stew, proud to have helped serve their own countess, and proud to have helped a woman in her time of distress and need, the Countess of Ritterjan. They have no moral qualms about what was done here and are going to sleep well tonight. Sir Paul finishes riding the perimeter about 2 hours after the raid concludes, comes to report to the rest of you. Hand on his sword hilt, jumping down from his horse and says, "So it's done. Looks like Wallingford's secure." We have the gatekeeper. Are we letting him go?
Wonder if he could get a job as a gatekeeper at one of the other castles.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kendric looks at Sir Kyned. It's like, what do you think?
He did us a great service. I think that we either let him go or take him back to our lands if he feels he won't be safe here.
Now, he did ask if one of you needed a gatekeeper, and you guys were emphatic that you did not need a gatekeeper.
I would certainly not put him in a position where he could,
Open the gate for someone who's besieging our
any
castles.
sort of power in our lands. But
Right, you understand
to,
that once you betray somebody once, it's very easy to keep betraying people.
100%. Yeah. But he did me a service, so I want to make sure he doesn't get his throat cut for it in the middle of the night. So if he needs an escort out of Ridichan, he can ride with us. We're not giving him, a position back in our lands, but if he needs to get out of Ridichan, we will get him out of Ridichan.
I think his plan is to take his ill-gotten gains and walk to Uffington and see if he can get a job with the Countess as a gatekeeper.
I'll ask him. Can you read?
Can I what?
Can you read?
You mean letters?
Yes.
No.
Very well. I'll give you a letter of introduction to the Countess.
I appreciate that, my lord.
Yes. Wait 1 moment. I have to have someone write it for me. And I will go dictate a letter.
Please kill the bearer of this note now.
I see you've played Skyrim before.
Yes. That just that basically is like, hey, this dude helped us out a lot, but he's not to be trusted. He opened the gate for us at Wallingford. Extend him kindness, but don't trust him.
Now, technically, the Countess did extend a pardon to anyone who lays down arms.
Yeah.
But
a pardon's not a guaranteed job.
Yes, yeah. What I'm explaining is she won't kill him as soon as he shows up.
Right,
being a traitor.
Yeah. I'm not expecting her to execute him or anything. I'm just warning her that this dude will betray you if you give him the chance.
Like a good foreign man?
Good foreign man.
Is that Savannah now?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god. Well, he can read glyphs and he's a storm warden, so that's why he clarified letters. He communicates entirely through Thieves Guild symbols placed on the outside of disreputable merchants so that he knows where to fence goods. Chalk signs on railroads. All right. What's the next plan?
Well, we've taken...
Does he have a brother in Sherburne?
Yeah, does the gatekeeper have a brother in Sherburne?
No.
Yeah.
I guarantee this plan won't work twice.
Yeah.
So, just as a reminder, Sherburne is also a Motte and Bailey. It is held by 20 knights and 50 soldiers or more, and is held by the middle brother Sir Bedge. And then Oxford is a walled city that is a stone shell keep, stone towers, a bailey with a bridge, 30 knights, 75 soldiers, and a sally port. And it has a secret hidden entrance exit way. You just have specifically not been told it. You do know where the sally port is, but that could be of limited use.
Yeah. I know we've been here for a period of time, but how late and what time of year is it when we... Summer, okay. Yeah, I think let's have a council.
Yeah. And I guess what about forces required to re-garrison the keep we've just retaken?
That's up to us, I think.
Yeah. If we just steamroll on, we might end up in a situation where someone else just comes in and takes it over.
From behind us, yeah. So we'll need to leave some men here.
So Paul says, I have 30 Knights of the Barons. I could remain here, secure the location.
With all 30?
For now?
How long could you stay? How long has the Baron given you leave?
Till the winter season starts, I should think.
Okay.
He was not clear on how long I should remain with your group. I assume that it should be until the Countess's order is complete, and that is what I will do until I hear otherwise.
So this castle was garrisoned by 10 knights?
Well, how much it was garrisoned by Sir Basile and how much of a garrison it should have could be two wildly different things.
Yes.
I think that for now, if you leave the Knights of North Salisbury with me, we'll work on getting all of the gates fixed and getting everything back in working order. I'll send a messenger as well with your gatekeeper to Uffington, and perhaps the Countess can send some of her house forces to relieve us at Wallingford. I'll join you at Sherburne as quickly as I can. Assuming Sherburne is where you're going next.
Think so. I think that's the wisest course of action. It's the next easiest target. It's a clear line of logistics train. Doesn't leave any enemies behind us. We just have to be aware of the forces from Oxford coming down to try and relieve it.
Well, how quickly you manage to take Wallingford. By the time we join you at Sherburne, you may be feasting inside it. And then he reaches out to do a Predator class with you.
We have it on good authority that what we did before won't work again.
Sir Kendric still takes the Predator class, but he goes, I think we'll be outside the walls for quite some time at Sherburne.
Sir Gwgan, might I speak privately with you for a moment?
Of course.
So he walks away from this council in the middle of the Motte and Bailey and moves to like the outer wooden wall that has some scorch marks from where like someone dropped a torch and the wall partially caught fire and had to be put out. And he's walking along the outside of the wall looking at, I want to say the beautiful stars, but it's summer in Britain, so probably there's just rain clouds in the middle of the night overhead. And it's just dark and gray everywhere. And he says, Sir Gwgan, you are a close personal friend of Sir Kendric, are you not?
Of course. We've been brothers in arms my entire knighting life.
Sometimes when two individuals lock themselves into a duel, it is up to the seconds to resolve the issue of honor. Specifically, the second of the man of lesser social rank.
Continue, please.
So Kendric and the Baron are locked in, as they say, for a challenge in the winter, which is problematic now that one owes fealty to the other.
I agree. This is a conversation that I've already had regarding the potential issues with this conflict.
I see. Well, as
what is it you propose, sir?
I have no propositions to offer. I simply remind the allies of Sir Kendric that someone must break this deadlock before irreparable damage is done to the honor or the men of Salisbury. It would not be correct for the Baron to back down on this matter.
I'll have a word with Kendric. I obviously cannot champion him without him requesting me to do so, though. So that's a decision he'll have to reach on his own.
Sometimes contests like these are resolved in matters other than martial combat.
Exactly. This is exactly the conversation we had previously. Was to try and resolve this in some other way. But obviously the Baron needs to be on board for this as well.
I can tell you on good authority that the Baron does not wish to injure Sir Kendric, nor does he wish to have his own honor injured.
Nor his body, I imagine.
He doesn't say anything, but he smirks slightly.
We'll speak more of this later. I will let you know once I've had a conversation with Kendric.
When I see you next then, Sir Gwgan. I hope that
Good
your
morning,
trip to
sir.
Sherburn finds you well.
I suspect it will be a cold and miserable summer. It's like every summer.
Unlikely. I hear it gets really hot in Britain now. Sometimes it gets, in this time period, in 500 AD, sometimes it gets as warm as 70, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a unit of measurement invented on this island.
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Okay, well, we have to use a unit of measurement of some kind, and I'm definitely not going to use farthings, so... The scene closes between the two of you as knights of adjacent status to this duel discuss. I think the next morning, as your troops are getting ready to break camp, the knights of both factions are talking about the tournament. They're hoping that these sieges do not take the whole summer and the fall season. Especially the levies are very interested in getting back before harvest season. But the knights are especially interested because if you'll recall, there's going to be a pretty big tournament being hosted in great honors. And there are some events locked in that are a little unusual for this time period. There's going to be some jousting, some poetry, some philosophy, and the ever-popular melee.
Well, let's have a conversation while we are heading to Sherburn then.
Sure.
Do we get the three of you on horses crossing the bridge south of Wallingford, following the road to Sherburn?
Sure.
Now, I want to imagine this conversation is taking place with like a well-tuned Texas guitar, like cowboy trail music, like ba-doom, 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 ba-doom.
Not like the Fallout twang, sort of, you know.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you know. Occasionally, while you're talking, you'll hear the American bald eagle sound, which isn't actually the bald. You know, like the red-tailed hawk.
Mm-hmm. So look, I don't think that this siege will resolve itself as fast as the last one. I mean, we have a success, which increases the likelihood at future sieges that we'll just receive a capitulation, especially once the small folk hear that the last siege was successful. They don't want to be caught up in the same mess that happened last time, even if that's unlikely to happen again this time. They don't know that. But I don't think we're going to be seeing a fast resolution, which means we need to think about what our plans are for us and our men, whether we simply establish a blockade and let time run its course while some men rotated back to Salisbury.
I think if we can perhaps try and draw them out. They're, or at least according to the information that we were given, their numbers at Sherburne. I mean, obviously we have our levies, but our knights and our men-at-arms, I think, are roughly equivalent. So if perhaps we could draw them out to a pitched battle somehow.
I mean, first off, I agree that would be great. I would hope that. Well, I wouldn't hope, but I would suspect that if they have any tactical mindset, and they saw that our forces were equal, they would realize that they benefit greatly from remaining inside their walls, as long as their provisions hold out. Which is why I suspect a protracted siege is the more likely.
We could send another offer of clemency.
We should definitely give them the opportunity to surrender, but I said that may take some time for them to reach that conclusion on their own. But that would be a matter of course.
We did just murder his brother, so I expect that the quote-unquote lord of the castle is not going to be
very happy with us. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think so either.
What did he want again? So there was so one of them had the
wanted the heart of a witch or something like that, or the location of the witch.
Yeah, Wallingford
You're muted, Arthur.
Sir Basile was cursed by a witch that his wounds would reopen and his gums would bleed and such, and as James already pointed out, he just has scurvy, and the witch is his aunt. I was just telling him that he needs to eat something other than 100% a meat diet. Sir Beige has been offering that he will surrender his title to his castle to anyone that can defeat him in a philosophical battle over his right to rule the castle vis-a-vis the Countess of Ridichan not being a legitimate ruler in his traditionalist legal set. He also breaks the fingers of those who debate him and lose. And he has a 100% debate record so far.
Yeah, because he is the arbiter of his own debates.
He is the arbiter of his own debates. However, it is said that he has sound arguments.
Wait, so is Sir Beige he's Oxford?
Brother, middle. No.
Also,
Oxford
he's
is
Sherburne.
rebellious, and he does not leave. Like, his knights only send out tithing groups to basically go collect a small amount of taxes from the local villages, which makes him very popular. His sort of laissez-faire, libertarian rule and anarchy. He does not desire anything. He has no specific deal with him.
Well, I certainly don't want to get into a debate with this man about the Countess's right to rule. At least not without a sword in my hand.
Yeah, so rather than debate him philosophically, you'll kill people.
I mean, hold on a second.
I will.
We're here because we believe in the righteousness of our actions. And because we were commanded to do so by the Countess. But is there a reason we should not stand by those beliefs if he does claim to be such a great debater, yet we know ourselves to be keepers of truth in this matter?
You are a great scholar, Gwgan, but I worry that he may not deal fairly with you. I won't stand in your way if you want to engage him, but I do worry about your fingers.
How can he use force lightning if he doesn't have his fingies?
I mean, as I say, what are my fingers if it saves men from losing their lives? But I suppose it doesn't, does it? Because if I lose, then we don't get what we are after, and if I win, then neither is an issue.
It may be a way to take the castle quickly, which would be helpful. And then we only have to besiege Oxford.
I feel like it should be explored in any case. I feel that if there's, I mean, the thing is that we can debate him and lose, and then still besiege the castle. I don't know that you know the part of the gamble is that we have to agree to acknowledge his right to the castle if he wins.
Lose. Yeah. I agree. I think, and it will give us an idea of who we're dealing with. So there's nothing at stake but the health of your fingers, Sir Gwgan. If you feel as though they're worth it, then I stand behind you.
All right. I will make an approach, I suppose.
When we return for the second third, we're going to find out what happens to those fingers. In the words of GrimDarkJames, I'm going to get that arm. Welcome back to the middle part. You should know, Glimo just shook that plunger that's over his shoulder at me.
Menacingly.
Like a mace, if a mace was made of rubber.
Can I just double check one quick thing with this scenario?
Yes.
So these men originally supported the Countess's husband, is that right?
They are knights of Ridichan.
Yeah.
Supported is
such a
strong word
term that implies loyalty. They are knights who one could encounter if they were riding through Ridichan.
Okay, but she inherited because she is the heir, not because of marriage or anything. So yeah.
Okay. The three of you lead the van here as you ride on Sherburne. You head off the road slightly, and in between two rolling hills, you find a Mott and Bailey. After a brief discussion with the man on the wall, an agreement is made that a table and chairs will be set out, and Gwgan will meet with Beige. The two of them will come out without armor, and Beige will have only his hammer with him. Gwgan will not bring any weapons. They will engage in a philosophical debate over the nature of his right to rule Sherburne. And at the end of it, should you prove successful over him, he will withdraw from the castle. You agree to all these terms?
Yes.
Your discussion with the man on the wall had a lot of like ceremony, heraldry, pomp and circumstance. The man who approaches you where his two peasants are setting up the chair and tables has none of that pomp and circumstance. It's just an angry looking man with a hammer going to rage squat on a chair waiting for you to join him. Okay. He is shorter than his brother. His face looks considerably older and dirty, like as if he has not washed in some time. And he lays the hammer down on the table and kind of strokes it in the process, like, yes, I'll be using this soon.
I heard a song about a hammer once.
I think Kyned and Kendric chuckle as they escort Gwgan to the table. Sir Beige rises and goes to give you a salute with his hammer, and then goes to give you a handshake, Gwgan.
Yep, I will greet him in kind.
It is good to meet with you, Sir Gwgan, they tell me.
And you, Sir Beige.
I do not recognize your heraldry, he says as he sits down.
We are Knights of Salisbury.
Salisbury. Another woman in charge there. Before we get started, let me ask you then, what possesses you to offer loyalty to a woman?
She, by the rights of Britain, is the rightful holder of, well, her son is the rightful title holder, but she has been appointed as regent by the knights in her council. I will say that there was at one point a movement within Salisbury that sought to not see her rule legitimate, but that matter was resolved, thankfully, in non-violent ways. People saw the right of things.
They saw your right of things.
Well, perhaps rights is where we should begin our discussion. As you claim the right to hold this castle, I'm curious by what right you believe your ownership is established.
So he kind of goes like, shrug, and says, very well, let's begin on the manner of why it is just that I and my brothers rule. Everyone knows.
Sorry, one question. You and your brother. One of your brothers is no longer with us.
Which brother?
So let me get back my notes. I had before. Sir Basile.
So you say and then you for like 10 seconds, and then you say Sir Basile, and he goes, oh, right, okay. Upsetting news to receive at this table.
I'm sorry that news didn't reach you first. I was not planning to deceive you on this matter.
I assume you had something to do with the departure of my dear brother from this life, being that you're the bearer of the news.
Yes, the armies that we command were laid siege to Wallingford and claimed that city. But we hope to resolve the matter through non-violent means here.
I suspect you also hope that you'll be keeping your hands intact.
Well, the hands that I have were given to me by God to work the tasks of my Lord. And so if they are damaged in the working of those tasks, then I know that I've still done God's will.
We'll talk about why it's godly that I rule these lands, but let's concentrate on why it's just. Everyone knows that strength is the only thing that matters to knights. You have what you hold. If the Countess truly was supposed to control these lands, would God not have given her the strength of arm she needed to do it? Might makes right. We know that we're knights. We've lived it our entire lives. My brothers and I were stronger than the Countess's forces, significantly enough that her people gave up without a fight. Our people now rule these lands, and to be fair, the peasants prefer us. My rule here is just. Why? Because I hold it. That's the only need that I need. And the people here prefer the low taxes that we give them.
Well, if you knew more about me, you would know that I'm famed for my justness throughout the lands of Salisbury and even further. But I must disagree with you on the matter of might making right. There are rights that confer ownership of land and title. those rights have been established by God, and they are the grant of land through the monarch, which is God's servant upon earth, and by extent, the dukes and counts that he opposes. They are the laws of inheritance, primogeniture, customary law of the region that allows a title to be passed first off to a male heir, or in the absence of a male heir, to a female heir. And they are by marriage, political tools that allow rights to pass through union and alliance. If might makes right, then you are only the leader until somebody is able to stab you. And we have suddenly a situation of anarchy.
He's nodding when you say that.
Yeah. The Lord requires that mankind operate in a civilized way, lest we drag ourselves into hell.
I'd like you to make a just roll real quick.
Sure.
Just a just roll. MBD.
That's a success.
How justy is that? It's pretty justy, honestly. 6 on an 18 is pretty good. Okay, you can go ahead and check mark just. He takes a deep breath and he says, well, my rule is also godly. You speak of how God's commands come through a monarch. Well, there is no monarch. And frankly, I find it hard to believe that there will be again. Forgive me for saying so, but if my recollection is correct, the Sir Kendric that's traveling with you is the same Sir Kendric that was on trial for having had the son of the king kidnapped. There is no prince, there is no king. God's commands do not reach us through the means that you say. He has left it for every man to become a king himself. And if he wanted it a different way, he would have willed it in Jesus Christ's name. Therefore, my rule is godly. If God didn't want me ruling this land, he would not let me.
Or perhaps God has sent through his agents an army to remove you from this land if you choose to continue with this fast that you produce. There is no issue with a woman being raised to rule lands. Judges 4:5 had Deborah raised to lead Israel under the guidance of prosperity to overcome its enemies. Queen Esther served her people under God's will, allowing the Jews to arise and find a new place. Even the Blessed Virgin, a woman, was selected by God to bring the Savior into the world. There are very few times in the Bible or any of its verses where you will find any claim that God does not recognize the right of women as being equal to the right of men. In terms of your belief that God has chosen you, well, I'm here to tell you that a force at least as great as yours, not greater, which has already defeated one of your brothers, stands here to enact God's will if you will not see it yourself. You have a choice here to either persist in what you believe and die by the sword, or realize the justness of what you've been presented with and fall in behind the rightfully appointed by the prior king, ruler of this lands. And I will, just to speak to my brother's honor, point out that while Kendric stood trial, he was also acquitted at that same trial of any crime by the king, the same king that appointed the Countess to rule Ridderton.
And James showed up with fucking receipts, bro. Is he fact-checking beige in real time? CNN needs to be hiring Gwgan. That's all I'm saying, man. All right. Roll spiritual. This one is not as good as your just, I should think.
No, I'm not, no. So I think that I better try and impassion here before I try and do this. I'm thinking, will you take loyalty, Lord, as we're doing this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's try that. No, it's a fail. So, but it's not a famous trait though, at least.
Yes.
But so a famous trait still goes down if it's not famous.
Let's see
check that.
here. We've got our pinned map of the new suggested. Blah, blah, blah. Normal passion failure is no result.
Okay, no worries.
Nothing happens.
All right, so, yeah, my spiritual's not great though, but we'll roll anyway. That's a fail on spiritual.
Okay, you must now test worldly.
Passing worldly.
I need you to check mark worldly.
Okay.
You show up with receipts. You speak about the Countess in legal and godly terms, but your words are passionless. They just ring hollow in the listener's ears, and you can see while Beige is looking at you, it's not necessarily that you don't believe them, it's that you don't have the same passion you had while arguing about justice. And he believes that he has won this argument from you, that you are 1-1 now.
Right. Well, I've got a closing statement to make.
But we have a third thing before we do the closing statement.
All right.
Yes, James, there's a tiebreaker round just in case you didn't win both of them at the same time. And then you can closing statement afterwards.
Okay.
So he says, my rule here is valorous. I bring glory to my brothers' names, to my house name, to my name. I bring glory to the land. The people here are happy. The people here are protected from the Saxons, where your people throw tribute at Saxons and hide, I might add, behind the Eastern Dukes, who are also throwing tribute at the Saxons and talking about, now I hear about a Saxon king. There are no Saxons in my land. I butcher the Saxons. Those of Saxon blood are all killed. We'll have no spies out here. We'll have no Saxon bastards. None of it. My rule here is valorous. It is just, it is godly, and it is valorous. My men are happy. The women are happy. The people here are happy. Everyone wants me to be here because I lead from the front. And as he says that, he's like stroking the hammer and just like, yes, the hammer. I'm going to be using it soon.
So you speak of the glory that you bring to these lands. I had never heard of you before this moment. I ask you, sir, where were you at the Battle of Netley Marsh? Where were you at the Battle of Hertford? Where were you at the Battle of Levkamacus? Major battles against Saxons run by the lands, run by our king. A king that gave out glory and defeated the Saxons at every turn when they came to these lands. You, sir, were a simple sellsword who paid no true homage to any lord, who now claims to carry glory to this field, glory that you share. Tell me of your exploits in major battles, and I will tell you of mine.
Okay. Roll your valorous.
To get like a bonus for having been in all those battles.
I mean,
Yeah,
he has a valorous of 16 from having gone to those battles.
What's his glory?
Not anywhere near as high as yours.
Okay, so is my glory like more than say 5 times his? I don't know. Like,
I think you can roll these dice and we'll see where they lie. How about that?
oh, it's a crit.
It's a crit. Okay, increase your valor by 1 and check mark it. So it's 17. Based on your argument here today, and as it gets passed by Kendric and Kyned into legend, a lot of the things you guys do, they'll probably never be remarked upon, even by other people, members of your household, probably not by Salisbury, like castles and knights there. This, though, this is one of those things. You think that your arguments here might go as far north as Scotland and as far south as Dover. Like, this truly was like, I was at the Battle of Levkamacus with the king you didn't follow while you were a sellsword. That kind of shit rocks walls. He smushes the hammer, and like a cat, he bats it off the table. He stands up, and he turns his back to you, and he says, I will take my men, and I will travel north. This castle is yours. You have won it with words and deeds. I ask only that you give us leave to transit in peace.
I would absolutely give you that. Although I would say that there is still a place of honor here for men who would choose to follow the right path.
He turns to look at you and he says, "You would have me turn against my brother."
I would not ask you to draw steel against your brother, but I would
you
ask
would
that
ask me to turn my back on him, on my own kin.
I would ask you to recognize the lead to the lands in which you stay and her invitation to find a place of honor in Britain, one where your skills will be recognized.
How do you want to make this argument?
I mean, I'm basically trying to appeal to his honor. Whether he treat it like, because isn't it, don't you roll opposed passions when you're trying to bring someone out of melancholy, for example?
Sure, I'll buy that. You can roll against his loyalty, family.
Yeah.
Okay, love, family, sure.
All right, so I'll run my honor against his love, family?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, he has an 11.
Okay. I failed, though.
He also failed.
We both failed. Okay.
He sees your argument, and you see in his eyes fear. There is no love for either of his brothers here. There is only what will become of him if he has no family left. Someone who has turned his back on his erstwhile lord. His brother is literally the only person left he can trust. You read that in his face, and you can see this thing tearing him up inside, that the idea that even now that he sees your armies marching here and is like, this probably is not going to end well for us, whether I leave this castle or not. It's still not enough to draw him away from the last person he can trust in the world, even with the fear. He asked for 1 day to gather supplies and all of his men and transit north.
Very well, I'll offer my hand.
Okay. He shakes your hand. Do you embrace him like a true Christian?
Sorry, I'll just take his hand.
Your arguments are good and just and valorous, Sir Gwgan. I am saddened to not break your finger bones.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't, not for the sake of my fingers, but for the sake of the many men on each of our sides, and for the fact that were we to lose, there would still be the matter of a siege, and there would still be the matter of your death by the coming summer, which now is thankfully avoided.
The thing is, my men love that I come out here and do this. They love that I'm willing to risk myself. Now, admittedly, most of the ones who've come to discuss so far have been monks and priests and the like, but the enemy commander coming to speak to me after having killed my brother, now that's a story my men are going to be telling for a while, I think.
And you've shown your honor by keeping to the terms of the agreement. So you have.
And yet, by your own arguments, you'd say that I have little honor.
No,
or I
didn't
do
say
not
that.
believe in this king of yours. He's dead.
Honor and loyalty are different virtues. I never claimed that you were dishonorable. I claimed that you were disloyal.
I think he smiles and just walks back to his castle. King for a day.
All right, that was a lot more tense than I expected.
You did well.
The bards will speak of this day.
Someone pops pops up nearby and says, "Did you need a bard to speak of this day?"
A castle taken by one man.
A castle taken by one man? Were there sunglasses involved?
There may have been.
That's a Battletech reference for them. The bard immediately begins writing a play about this situation. You know, like a one-act morality play, but it's entirely in Latin, so nobody understands it. He says, "Oh my, I'm definitely going to sell this at Abingdon in Dorchester. They're going to love it there. Here's the thing. I love writing plays and then selling the performance rights to people. It's this new concept I've developed. It's really cool."
Called licensing.
Licensing! That's such a good terminology. I'm going to steal that as well. All right, the bard wanders off, speaking entirely in iambic pentameter in Latin, while also rhyming couplets.
He's like, it's like an ancient EA. He just wants to own IP.
You mean Disney?
Shall we just camp for a day and then occupy our new castle?
Somewhere out there, the bard is writing in a corner, and he's like, "Now, if I just make one more play about the Knight of Spiders, the sort of Spider-Man, I'll be able to keep the rights to it for another 75 years or my death." So there's a guy who hunts the Spider Knight. He's a hunter knight. Let's say he's Craven of some kind. No, that's his name. His name is Craven. Yes, that's very morality play-like. Yes, I've nailed it now. Sorry, now I'm taking shots at Sony IP squatting Spider-Man for the last fucking 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, you see a procession of knights and men-at-arms begin riding, all of them, even the men-at-arms, riding with, like, baggage horses in tow north. They are almost certainly headed for Oxford.
Is this like an abnormal amount of baggage?
I mean, they're taking everything not nailed down in the castle with them that they can fit on a horse or cattle. I would say it's like abnormal, sure.
Wait, so they're taking cattle as well?
I mean, they're taking anything that they can take with them.
I mean, cattle will slow them down.
Yeah. Okay. How many are there?
How many cattle or how many people?
How many fighting men?
Fighting men. Let's see here. So Sir Beige has 20 knights and 50 soldiers. And then each of the knights has 3 horses on top of their major horse. You know, their like war horse that they're riding off on. Then the men-at-arms are also riding off on horses. Although you are seeing a mishmash of brandings on the horses. It doesn't look like they've all come from one source. And then cattle are also being taken as well, and many of the cattle have like packs thrown over their back as well. And there are also horses who are being led by the men-at-arms.
I wonder if so with what they're transporting, they're not going to be running at full speed for Oxford. They're going to be having to move quite a large group. Have they got like camp followers as well as part of their sort of
Surprisingly,
group?
they don't.
Okay.
Although you're worm-tonguing me right now. You're like, they'll be slow moving through the mountain pass. They'll have women, children.
If we could get ahead of them and maybe like seed something disease into their ranks when they pass through an area, like ensure that they're past bad food or
their wells.
They have a night with some diseased whores, and they take disease into Oxford.
Do you feel that that's a knightly and honorable Now, James, I know you're a ruthless motherfucker, but you did murder a woman in an abbey.
I'm spitballing here.
Yes.
I'm wondering if we just ride after them, kill them. I mean, we only promised him 1 day of safe, and we never promised him safe passage. If he's going to raise this place to the ground, essentially, and leave nothing for the people here.
I mean, the problem was when he said he was going to go north and he failed his love family role, I thought he was going to go like away, not he was going to go and move his forces into Oxford's forces.
You can go ask him what he's doing.
Right, it's clear they're moving towards Oxford. In which case,
they're right.
I mean,
north.
Oxford's north, but also so is everything from here.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it does seem reasonable that he's going to ride to Oxford.
I mean, we
could just go ask him.
I mean, they've got to go past Dorchester, so we could simply send a thing ahead saying that clemency extends only to the borders of Dorchester. If they try to join Oxford,
only to the borders of Dorset. Very well.
Yeah. They'll be considered enemies, and we'll move our forces accordingly. We can move faster than because we're an army rather than a mishmash of cattle. We simply need to blockade, leave some forces here at Shrewton, and then send the rest of our forces to blockade Oxford.
It does look like there's a little river there that they would need to find a crossing for cattle. So, all right, that sounds like a good plan to me. Sir Kyned, any ideas? Which route do you favor?
I agree that we can certainly get more speed on them. I worry, though, about having a fight outside the walls where we may suddenly be between the hammer and the anvil.
Agreed.
I mean, word didn't reach Sherburne about what happened at Wallingford. If we can get ahead of this, we can prevent word from reaching Oxford of what's happened at Sherburne. Oxford can only ride his forces out if he knows that there is a battle happening.
If we take them on the road, then yes. If we siege Oxford, if we get ahead of them to lay siege to Oxford, and then
I think we need our forces to stop them from reaching Oxford before we lay siege. We need to dissuade them from choosing to support Oxford. We need to simply let them know that to try and reach Oxford would be a death wish. Have them lose themselves in the forest sauvage as we were. That's right, isn't it? The forest above Oxford there is the forest sauvage, I think?
It's the forest sauvage.
Yes.
So, wait, am I hearing a new plan, which is to force them off-road to get lost in the forest sauvage?
No, simply establish a blockade to dissuade them from trying to join Oxford.
All you need is to T-pose in the middle of the road while they're approaching very slowly, and then have a peasant nearby talk about supreme executive authority. Oh, since I didn't cover it in intro hour, I should say to the King Arthur Pendragon folks, I did do a react video with Ticking Time Bob that you can see on his channel, and Eric Vulgaris was there as well. The three of us reacted to Excalibur, a movie I hadn't actually seen in its entirety.
Really? Wow, okay.
It's a bad movie. It's not good.
That was the third DVD I ever bought.
It has Sir Patrick Stewart.
It has Liam Neeson in it.
It does.
That doesn't make it good, my man. There are 2 whole seasons of the next generation that have Patrick Stewart in it that aren't that good.
How do you feel about Merlin, as in like the Merlin TV series?
Are you talking about
Like,
the BBC Merlin?
Like the Sam Neill one.
I'm going to be very clear with you. You may have noticed that we've gone through about 3 different Merlins so far. The next Merlin you see is definitely going to be like, what is it, bruv? Arthur, Prince of the Idiots. Yeah, it's going to be that fucking Merlin for sure. Have I seen that one? Yeah, I've seen the whole thing, motherfucker.
Sam Neill's a New Zealander.
Is it good? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the introduction of Gaius as like a proto-Merlin is very interesting as like a former Roman soldier, apothecary, magician dude. I thought that was probably the most interesting character. But they also had my favorite guy, the Duke of Cornwall, and he wasn't a total fucking idiot the whole time. So that's always nice.
How do you feel about King Arthur, Legend of the Sword Arthur?
Is that the Guy Ritchie movie?
Yes.
It's awful. I fucking hate that version of Arthur. It's the worst. Easily the worst depiction of Arthur I've ever seen. Charlie Hunnam. You need to know is that Spoon worships this guy. All right, but he's literally like, so what I could do, I guess, as an American playing a British guy, what I could do is I could go to all of my dukes and my lords, and I could, exert my supreme executive power, and they could raise taxes and raise levies of people up, and we could do it properly, or I could just steal from the bad king. So we're gonna do some gangster shit American style. I'm a road man. I'm a gangster, yo. I'm King Arthur, but I'm legit. Movie. I'm a rapper. I'm like, what the fuck is this version of King Arthur?
It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Anytime Vortigern gets mentioned in this show, my mind goes straight to Jude Law.
What?
Yeah, for sure. He's great.
No!
We got him, audience.
I'm so no about that. I Dave Chappelle knowed on that third one. No! Yes, he deserved to die. And I hope he burned in hell. No, it's not Jude Law. It's the guy from like Flash Gordon who played the like evil wizard dude. That's what I assume that Vortigern looks like. But
King the Merciless.
Yeah.
Or it was Eric Banner was Uther, wasn't it? King Uther in that one.
Yeah, and that opening sequence is badass.
Yeah, okay. The best part of the movie is that, and the second best is the heist, and every other part of the movie is absolute garbage.
No, the ending is good too. The final fight is good.
What the fuck? I mean, maybe if you like Spy Kids level CGI, maybe if you enjoyed the Speed Racer movie.
By the way, it was Max von Sydow who played Ming the Merciless.
We're so diverted. Remember when you guys were coming up with a plan for what you want to do about this cattle drive?
Yeah. I mean, I think Kendric is in favor of basically like cutting them off at that river and being like, hey, you can't go to Oxford. So
you want to cut them off before they get to Dorchester.
So what you're saying is it will be Kettle Tech below the cut down.
Oh. Oh. Don't talk smack about Spy Kids. They're iconic. Okay, Spy Kids.
I haven't been on chat.
You know what? I'm not going to get involved with chat. They're going to divert me so strongly from what I'm supposed to be doing, which is running this game. I'm going to be a good Voron man and stop reading. Instead, I should be leading. Okay, so getting ahead of them to Dorchester will require you to literally ride in front of and around them, right? Like, it's not going to be a subtle move. They're going to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you leaving behind to secure Sherborne? You know what I love? Is that you were talking to Paul, and Paul was like, try not to take the castle too fast. And you're like, I think it's going to take weeks. And he's like, I think the next time I see you, you're going to be feasting at Sherborne. In like 4 days, he's gonna get to Sherburne Castle and be like, "Where the who lives here? There's no one in this fucking castle." He's gonna be going around looking for audio logs. Like, what happened here? Project Hubris is well underway.
All right, so here's the forces at our disposal right now. We have 20 knights, 32 men-at-arms, and 233 levies.
Yep, you have a lot of levies
versus 20 knights and 50 men-at-arms.
Yep, and lots of horses, which your levies do not have.
Yeah, correct. But they also have cattle. Which...
Yes, and the cattle will slow them down when they're not in battle, and when they are in battle, the people on horses are going to brutally fucking murder the levies.
Well, if we block them at a river crossing, we limit the effectiveness of horses.
Sure.
I mean, I almost wonder if we let them start crossing before we attack.
It depends on the bridge is. If the bridge is like 20 feet.
Well, and that's like if there even is a bridge, or if there's like just a ford. But the question is, how much do we want to leave here?
Oregon Trail intensifies. Well, the levies are perfectly happy to stay behind in the castle.
I'm sure they are.
Clear.
I mean, we could leave like 100 levies here, for example.
Yeah.
With
So is it for the purpose of calculating outnumbering? Is it total force?
Yes.
Okay.
But also recall that training is.
Yes.
And if you're cutting your forces with levies, your training level will be lower.
Yeah. So yeah, let's leave a good portion of the levies here, a few men-at-arms, and maybe a couple knights.
Like cutting your hair with fly spray.
Is there any named character you would like to leave as the commander of Sherburne?
We can make up a name.
I was saying, does anyone have a family knight that they want to leave in charge?
I'd leave one of the dames.
Okay.
Meefy? Nope.
Yeah, Meefy. Sure, Meefy.
Well, do we want to leave one of the Order of the Axe?
Oh, yeah, we could.
Like we would leave like who were the two? The
Dame Irwin and Sir Seath.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave them as the lieutenants under Meefy?
They'll be too busy staring into each other's eyes, and then
Yeah, so Meefy's in charge, and Dame Irwin and Sir Seath are with her.
But they have such a strong nesting instinct. They're gonna, get the castle back in order. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna come back and they're now holding it. It's now theirs. We're gonna kick them out.
You challenge Sir Seath to a philosophical debate. Sir Seath, in complete seriousness, from atop his horses, are getting ready to leave, looks at you, Gwgan, Kendric, Kyned, and says, "I swear, by my honor, I will investigate every corner of this tower and make sure that no stone is left unturned. Erwin and I will find everything that they've left behind."
He will run every room.
You ride out north.
We have a plan.
I mean, your plan is to get to a river crossing and prevent someone from crossing a river.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I would be happy if we simply made it like clear to them it's not worth their while to try and reinforce Oxford, or at least make it hard for the Beige to convince his men that they should go to the aid of his brother rather than seeking their fortune elsewhere.
It's so funny that this has become about a river crossing, because I had a note written down that we were going to have an event next time we did a river crossing. So you know what? Your group of knights rides You move to cut them off from Dorchester. In the middle of the night, you slip past them and easily make it in front of them. The next morning, you approach the river, and you can see that the road is such a loose term. The path that they are traveling on does have a crossing, but there is a man standing in like old Roman legionary armor with an oar who is blocking the path by holding his oar out like this at a stool. And he stands up and he says, "You can't pass here. This is my bridge. I'm the knight of the bridge."
Greetings, Sir Knight. To whom do you hold this bridge for?
I hold this bridge in the name of the Countess of Ridichin.
Well,
None may
yes.
pass it without paying tax at all.
What is the tax?
He like gets out a piece of paper and he's just like, "What goods would you like to declare before you pass the bridge?"
Well, we are actually, sir, your reinforcements. We come to prevent an army of the Countess's enemies from crossing this bridge ourselves.
I've never seen you before.
Doesn't mean I don't exist. We've
I
claimed
just
Sherburne, and we've claimed...
I don't believe you claim that you're reinforcements because you ain't from Ridichin.
But you know that the forces of Ridichin have turned on the Countess and claimed her keeps?
I'm a member of the forces of Ridichin. You see me claiming a keep?
Sir Knight, there are men heading this way who are going to try and cross this bridge, and they are not planning on paying the toll.
You see, he stands up and he flexes and he's taking his giant wooden oar and he's like, "Well, if they try to pass, I'll knock them off the path, like I have everyone else who's tried to pass."
We do not seek to pass this bridge. We seek to stop them from doing so. Would
What's
you
wrong?
like
You
our
don't like
aid?
paying taxes?
Oh, I just have no need to pass beyond this point.
So
Well,
you
basically,
rode
because-
here
because-
to this bridge and now you don't want to cross. You think I'm stupid. You're going to wait until I go to sleep and then you're going to cross this. Well,
No, wait,
you're not
hold on
going
a
to
sec.
cross it if my name isn't Sir Jeter.
Sir Jeter. Good to know. I'm Sir Kendric.
Hold on, we do want to cross this bridge. If we want to go to Oxford eventually, so
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, maybe we should.
So
work
you
out
do
what
want to cross the bridge now.
We're having
Okay,
a
I see the truth of it.
All right, we're going to have a conversation over here where you're not listening in, and then we'll come back and talk to you when we're ready to discuss paying your tariff.
You think I haven't seen smugglers? You're lucky that you've got a nightly bearing around you, or I'd come off of the bridge, and I would...
Could you provide us with a summary of the taxes based upon the declarable goods?
Absolutely. Let me start with my lineage. I was knighted 6 years ago by Sir Derek of Aberdeen. as you're walking away, you could just hear him talking about, the day he was knighted, fighting alongside the king.
Like I said, we need to cross this bridge. We may find that the toll is not arduous.
I'm more interested to see what's going to happen when the.
Oh yeah, no,
I think so too.
Me too. I think while it'd be very amusing, I don't think it will be much of a roadblock.
Yeah. Or I mean,
I expect a few. I've expected a few Sebasians, maybe not Sebasia himself, will end up getting wet, but they won't. He won't stop an army.
yeah, and he may end up dead in the process. So what do you propose?
And we pay the toll.
And cross?
Yes. We said we need to get to Oxford anyway eventually, so.
Well, we do want to stop them here, though.
But I mean,
Well,
we stop them from the other side, though.
Yes, and if we arrange our forces in such a way that we have a greater frontage than what they can get coming off of this bridge, they're not superior numbers, but their superior forces in training will be limited. So they outnumber us in knights and men at arms, while we have the superior weight of numbers.
How long do we have before we expect their army will arrive here?
Hours.
Okay. Like, if we negotiate the crossing while we're crossing, can we have some men effectively sap the banks as well to try and prevent? Yeah, like put in sticks, etc., to make it difficult for horses to try and ford the river as well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go back and talk with our all-wielding friend.
All right.
And in conclusion, I need all declared trade goods and mercantile movement through the river to be paid at 1/50th of their price, on top of the other fees that were listed.
What trade goods do we
are you
have
declaring?
We're an army at march, so the only thing we have that will be tradable will be the foodstuffs we carry to feed our troops.
All right, I'm gonna use the going market rate on foodstuffs prior to the Ridichan crisis. Charge you a reasonable rate for them, including all the tariffs and the fee for each man and horse beast crossing the river. Looks like it's going to come out to £2.
Done. I will drop £2 into his hand, and
right.
I'll give him 2 shillings as a
Are you bribing me?
No, I think not at all. I think that you've done
I'm
a
British,
fantastic
not
job.
American. Get your fucking tipping culture out of here.
Mm-hmm.
He gives you the 2 shillings back. He sits down, and rather than have the oar like this, he uses it as a salute and lets people pass on either side of him in the riverbed. The water is flowing pretty slowly here, and it's only 3 or 4 inches at this point. Barely enough to get up over the boots that he's wearing. So, yeah, you could easily cross here.
All right. Let's move our people across while also...
Some of your men begin sapping, and Sir Jeter is just like, well, ain't seen that before. Before your men finish crossing, I hope they're willing to take those out of the way. I don't want any merchants who slip and fall, get stabbed themselves on punji sticks or whatever we're gonna call them.
I think we're not trying to block the fording. We're just trying to block other parts of the river. So people can still cross at the ford where he is.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
north and south of the river, it's deeper and faster. It's there's rocks here that kind of slow everything down and bring the riverbed up. So
yeah. We just want to try and funnel them as much as possible through into a crossing as smaller area as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you even just throw rocks into the river so that horses trying to run across the river run the risk of hitting, stepping on rocks and laming themselves?
Say, none of you know any wizards, do you?
None we should speak about, I don't think.
None that remain on the island.
I heard about this one river crossing. A wizard summoned horse steeds made out of water to stop the crossing. I'm always worried that's going to happen here. You know, I've only held this post for about 2 years. You never know when a wizard's going to show up upset with you. And I just want to see if there's any counter wizards out there that can counter other wizards.
I wouldn't believe every bard's tale you hear, sir.
I've never seen water horses before. Just one made of vines.
Sorry, you say a horse made of vines?
Yes.
Like a living horse or like a statue of a horse?
Well, it wasn't just the horse, though. It was the horse and the rider. So sort of like a centaur? A plant centaur?
Wow.
I don't remember what it was called, but it killed one of my friends and nearly
was it
killed
maybe
me.
called a Nuka-Levy?
Yeah,
I believe that was what it was.
I don't know where my accent went on pronouncing that word, but it's so weird. It's a weird word to begin with. So,
but this is flowing water, so I don't think you'll run into any Nuka-Levies here.
He doesn't know shit about fairy lore, so when you're like
Neither does
flowing
Sir
water, he's
Kendric.
like, that sounds correct.
Yep.
Everyone knows flowing water stops Beastman out of water.
Well, the Ukulele's not made out of water.
Probably a high percent water though, like we are.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, we set up across the river to fuck these dudes up when they come over.
Somewhere out there's an Italian going, if you're going to make the pasta, the water must be as salty as the ocean. And a food scientist out there is weeping openly.
I got put into a Facebook page the other day, which is a group of guys in Australia who are all like Greek heritage, and they like watch videos on. They dress up as like old Greek grandmothers or Greek grandfathers, and they watch videos of people mispronouncing Greek words or miscooking Greek food, and they yell at them. You know, they yell Greek abuse at the picture. And there was like an American chef that was using what he called tzatziki zaki as a dip.
Is that tzatziki? Is that
yes.
Okay?
Wow.
Does he also use oikos yogurt? Zeus and Socrates, huh? That's who he's. His gods and philosophers. Just to be clear, I always love Socrates. What an incredible word. All right. We're going to take our final break, and when we get back, we're going to figure out what happens with Sir Beige and the cattle raid. He's driving this cattle train this way. Something wicked is coming, and now you're on the far side of the river. And I just want to say, The Far Side was a pretty good comic for several decades.
Gary Larson, good artist.
Yeah.
It is the reason that the scientific name for the spikes on the tail of a stegosaurus is Thagomizer. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about Far Side.
Wild. Okay, we'll be back in about 5 minutes for the second half. No, wait, the third.
Third.
Spoon's wife decided to send me a picture of the finger guys from Spy Kids or something, I guess.
The thumb men.
Look, all I'm saying is Spy Kids has had a detrimental effect on all media that has been produced since then. You're laughing. I can give you a direct example of why it has made things bad. Book of Boba Fett. The multicolored Vespa people, that was the Spy Kids.
Spy Kids? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
That was his contribution to Boba Fett's gang.
Savannah sent me a Boys Will Be Boys meme as well. So. But I was going to respond back that so I have an RPG called Scion where you get like godly powers, and one of the godly powers you can get is called Boys Will Be Boys, which means that no matter how, when you use it, no matter how serious a thing you've just done, people will go like, oh, yeah, they just do that, you know. It actually says in the book that if you give it to a female character, though, it's actually called Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
I feel like this power must have been used by Jet in Avatar: The Last Airbender when he's like, I'm gonna destroy a dam and kill hundreds of people, and people are like, we love Jet, yeah, and I'm like, Jet is a fucking terrorist, man.
That's a game system that has my favorite ability. It's called Solipsistic Wellbeing. It means you can never be hurt by any attack you're not aware of.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That's Werewolf, right?
No, it's Scion.
Oh, that's from Scion as well. I thought Werewolf had a power where you couldn't be injured by a weapon you weren't aware of. Making those. I
mean, they could both have it. They're both.
That's true. It does really negate those United States Air Force cruise missiles that ninja blend you. When they hit you at 8,000 miles an hour, it feels like that's too fast for you to comprehend. Like blink and it's already on top of you. So you're basically immune to U.S. Air Force cruise missile strike at that point.
That's a Hellfire missile, not a cruise missile.
Is it?
The one that has the spinning blades.
All right, that's my bad.
Yeah, it's a very.
I apologize to the United States Air Force.
Good. they'll cancel the missile that they're sending to your location.
Well, I'm in the basement of my house, so I'm probably more protected than the usual target. I do live within 30 miles of an Air Force base, though, so it would be relatively easy to take me out.
Yeah, it's the Hellfire R9X.
The X is the designation that they've removed the warhead and replaced it with a spinning Vitamix. I saw an ad for Vitamix, James, that you'll like. It said something like stainless steel aircraft level blades, and I'm like, what the fuck does aircraft level blades mean?
Doesn't that just mean aluminum?
Hey, one of my friends saw the other day. They had their Christmas elf, and the Christmas elf was in the blender with a sign saying "Help, get me out." And one of the kids like, "Oh, I'll turn it on, see what happens."
Guess who's getting a new blender for Christmas?
So Sir Beige rides up and seems relatively surprised to see all of you arrayed on the far side of the river, but almost like an NPC. Sir Jeter immediately goes through his whole spiel with him. Beige looks incredulous at this single man with an oar standing in his path in the river. And he shouts over the river and says, "Sir Gwgan, what are you doing here? I thought we had an agreement."
I agreed you could leave. I didn't agree that you could join your brother's forces. I let you go to spare these men, not so they could just die somewhere else.
He turns and rides his horse back, and Sir Jeter's like, "I'm still talking here at you." And they turn northeast to follow the river. They're not going to try to force a crossing here against you.
I'll turn to Sajida. Do you have any idea if where the closest ford is to the north?
Oh, to the north, yes. The closest ford is well into the forest, Savage. Not a good idea to go in there. I heard that a bunch of fucking jackasses went in there a couple months ago. One of them ended up signing up with the Fairy King. One of his knights now is what I hear.
Not till he's dead.
That's not how I heard the story.
Before Sir Beige and his men are out of earshot, Sir Kendric will ride along the river and call across to them and say that the Countess has offered clemency for any man who returns his loyalty to the rightful ruler of the county.
One of the men riding the horses shouts over and says, "What's clemency?"
Forgiveness.
All right. A lot of people are looking at that guy and looking at you, and you've caused a scene.
You want to shout out that they should follow a man who's afraid of a guy with an oar?
No, and he'll also shout a warning to not go into the forest. You'll never, it could be years before you return. If you return at all.
If you return.
Doom,
you gravity
doom
falls
awaits
them. I would like a roll of some kind. Not sure what. I think perhaps honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll stand by that. I feel like if they know you're an honest man.
Yeah. I mean, Kendric he's not famous for his honesty. He's an honest man. Success.
Go ahead and check mark your honesty. The men of this cattle train, you can tell that you have inserted a discussion that had not previously been there. They clearly have, well, I mean, there's literally no way they could have known about the clemency. And now this will be a discussion that people are going to have over words and perhaps wine and weapons in the coming days. And your warnings about the forest definitely spread fear of fairies among the people here. But the cattle train still goes.
Hopefully you spook the cattle, though.
You wanted his warning about fairies to spook the cattle.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
Yes, the cattle, of course, speak English.
Oh, they speak fairy.
Hopefully the cattle do a vibe check of the men they're walking with and realize that they've suddenly become a lot more serious.
Now, cows do vibe checks. That is a thing cows do, for sure.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
I saw a thing yesterday where someone was like, I could tell people who don't want to pasteurize milk have never been within 10 feet of a cow because the smell itself would let you know you need to pasteurize that milk. Fantastic. Okay. You can continue to follow them several miles north until it hits the Forest Sauvage if you would like to shadow them along the riverbank. But it's clear that there are no further crossings as far as you can tell. Not that you can see more than a few hundred feet as the river ups and downs, hills and dales.
No, I mean, I think I trust Sir Jeter's word that there are no other crossings, and I think it would feel I think there would be less of a chance of some of Sir Beige's men to turn back and return to the Countess if we were watching over their shoulders.
Okay. You return. All of you are watching a ranting Sir Jeter who's just like, well, that was very rude, gentlemen. Those men, can you imagine the tax they would have had to pay to cross this? Many heads of cattle.
They wouldn't have paid it, Sir Jeter. They would have killed you and gone on ahead.
They would have tried.
Yes, they would have tried. But I was trained. I was trained in the King's Army by Sir Marowak of Aberdeen. 2 years I've been serving at this post, and no one I've seen has ever dared to pass without paying the price.
Is he wearing a sword?
No, he has an oar.
He has an oar.
He has about a 14-foot long oar.
Right.
Made of wood.
Our plan, gents, shall we?
Do we besiege Oxford,
or do we head back to Wallington and wait for Sir Paul?
I think we send a messenger back to Sherburne, and we go siege Oxford.
Sir Jeter says, "Have fun sieging the castle."
Have fun storming the castle.
Yes, I was doing a Princess Bride thing. To Blythe.
Think it'll work?
It'd take a miracle. What a movie. What a movie. They literally don't make them like that. Spoon's doing something.
He's being handed something. I know.
Yeah, it's just wild.
He's being handed a cat head.
Yeah.
Back of the giant head. Okay. You continue to ride north. Now, I want to point out that while you have had numerical superiority a lot of the time, you will not have a huge numerical superiority over Oxford.
No, I don't think we'll outnumber them 2-1.
They have a sally port. So, you tell me how you want to siege this place. When you arrive, it's a full city. It has a city that is inside of the walls, and inside of those walls is a whole extra castle. And those walls are made out of stone, not wood, not earth. We're talking a real castle, not a stone tower hastily constructed in the middle of wooden walls. This is a real, no shit, thousands of people live here town.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that outside the walls, there's like a guy who has like a kumbaya circle around, and he's just like, so all I'm saying is free love is the idea of the day, okay? As long as we're setting up a place of learning, we should also be open to ideas.
Is this like a John Lennon thing?
I was just talking about John Lennon last night at intro hour, about how he's the worst Beatle by far. And that includes the 5th Beatle that they kicked out in like the first 2 weeks.
So I think our plan should be we set up a main camp, stop people from going into the city.
I mean, the city has at least 2 entrances.
Sure. But I mean, right now, until...
What do you know about the brother that's holding Oxford again? This is Bellius, is that right?
Bellius,
Yes,
I think
Bellius.
so. Because Basile is dead. Beige is lost in the forest.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to roll siege to siege.
Well, are we actually forming a siege yet? No?
I heard the word siege.
Well, let's talk about it as a group first. I don't know if we actually want to start to...
James is like, no, hold on. I only have a 1 in siege. I don't want to roll that.
No, I mean, I think...
What if we reframe this?
I mean, I think our plan here is we just set up a camp and try and keep people from going into the city, like during the day.
We're not attacking the walls at the moment.
I don't even think we were like building like any like we're not trying to like encircle the town or anything like. We don't have a big enough force for that yet. We're just basically camping outside of it and trying to keep people from going in and leaving. Like if they sneak out at night, there's not a lot we can do about that.
Well, the other thing is like we almost want the for the moment at least the townsfolk to come and go, because if they come and go, we can share the information that the other 2 castles have already fallen, and that Sir Bellius is on his own now, and at some point, presumably, there'll be an opportunity to treat with him.
Yeah. Is there, now that I'm here, anything that I can do to try and find the secrets? Sally Port.
I think we can roll your espionage.
Excellent.
Brad has showed up and is calling you all cowards for not sieging.
We already took 2 castles, my man.
Yeah, but you didn't siege either of them.
14 on a 16.
14 on a 16. Now, this is going to take several days of interrogating locals who are trying to go in and out and inspecting the outer walls. You hear from some of the travelers who you turn away that once you get inside this outer wall, the inner keep does have a secret door that leads to estates that the Countess has in Oxford. And so if you go to her estates, you can find like a secret wall in her basement winery that will lead you. Sorry, I guess it's not called a wine rack room.
Wine cellar.
The cellar. Yes, has a wall that is a false wall that leads into like a single person tunnel that leads into the castle proper. The person you're talking to is like a vino merchant who's just like, I know this because I've been down there. And I have to say, if you prevent me from going into Oxford, my stock right here, I have to sell it in the summer. I mean, this is a summer wine, sir. A summer wine. I can't sell this in the fall for as much as I could get now in a summer wine. Who drinks summer wine in fall? The French? Please, you have to let me through here. I need to unload my stock. Surely Sir Bellius will buy it.
Let this one through.
All right.
As you let him through, he turns to you, Kyned, and you could see that this man is more than just like a simple wine merchant, right? This man is a collector of secrets, and he's looking at you, seeing if you have anything further you need him to do while he's in the city. Selling his summer wines.
If you could spread word that the other two cities have fallen, and would be a real shame if innocent people were to die for the one remaining brother. And I'll hand him Libra.
He'll push the Libra back towards you, and he says, "A favor for a favor."
Fair enough.
So he and his goods ride forward, and the gate guards, who've been watching you turn people away, see this guy approaching, and they immediately capture him and like roughly bring him inside. But you can see him like pushing small bags of cash to each of them, and they're like, "Ah!" And he gets dragged to the other side of the door, and the gates are closed. But they do bring his wine cart in.
I will let the rest of the Brotherhood know what I have found out.
Okay.
We can get through this wall. Sounds like we've got a way in.
That evening, a messenger approaches under flag from the walls, looking to speak to the commander of the two camps here.
Kendric?
All right. I will go speak with him.
The messenger says, yeah, what is your name, sir?
I'm Sir Kendric of Pitton.
I am here as a representative for my lord, Sir Bellius. He wishes to know what your purpose is sitting outside of his capital city, of his county, Ridichan.
These lands do not belong to him. They belong to the Countess. We are here to make sure that they are returned to her.
Okay, so we can mark you down for one siege, yes? You are here for vengeance for the Countess, and you are sieging the city.
I am here to make sure that the city of Oxford is returned to its rightful ruler.
Okay.
If Sir Bellius would like that to be through violent means, then it shall be so.
What are your terms, in case you're offering terms or something like that?
The Countess has offered forgiveness for anyone who returns to her, or who returns to her as her subject, and acknowledges her as the rightful liege of Radichin County.
Okay. Now, for your part, the true count of Ridichan, Sir Bellius, is offering you the position as Baron of Uffington, and everything west of the river will be yours if you join hands with him against this false countess, this woman who tries to take what is his.
Everything west of the river, huh?
Everything west of the river.
We're already in possession of Sherburne. We'd have to return that to them, so that's a no.
So I'm marking you down as a no then here.
Correct.
Okay.
Sir, before you leave...
Oh, I'm no sir.
Well,
I'm just a humble peasant who speaks French.
Greeting you with honor, that's all.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Would you be willing to carry a note to your lord?
I am carrying several notes. Do you have an additional note you'd like to add to my note burden?
Well, allow me to quickly pen something, and I will give you something else to take.
What language are you writing it in?
In Latin, we all speak Latin. It's read, write Latin is the language we use here.
Sure, okay.
I imagine that someone can read the note to him if he doesn't really speak Latin.
I read Latin.
All right, no worries.
I prefer French.
I'll write a note to Sibelius, just letting him know that we let his brother Sabage go, but that he fled into the Forest Sauvage, where he faces great peril. Yeah, basically, I'll recount.
Okay.
We've had experience being lost in the Forest Sauvage. It's a magical place.
Okay. We're doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now? All right. He takes the letter, he reads it real quick, and he goes, well, shit. Merde. Okay, anyone else sending any letters in or out? Anyone else offering terms? Would anyone like to surrender to the true count? No, I'm going back inside the walls. All of you gentlemen who are cold out here, have a good night. It's going to be a long winter, gentlemen. And he's backing away while facing all of you until he backs into the walls of Oxford.
I guess we'll see whether he loves his castle or his brother more.
A week later, you are informed by a writer from the south that Sir Paul is approaching, somewhat upset at having to pay a tax.
Is he also moist?
What you see is that he has deferred payment to the Countess. Paul catches up with you and does the, you son of a bitch. You look good.
You're on mute, Spoon, I think.
I said, well, I did say it would be some time before we dined together in Sherburne, so...
It seems like that'll be true. By the time I got to Sherburne, the 3 knights there were tearing the place apart. Almost everything that hadn't been nailed down had been stolen by these brigands, but I brought 15 of my knights with me.
Very well. Let's, gives us almost equal numbers to the knights inside, at least the knights that we think are inside this castle.
Very well. At some point, we're going to have to start a siege. Will you be leading us?
Well, considering my first siege was 3 days ago, no, sorry, 2 weeks ago, roughly. Do you have any pointers? Have you done this before?
I have not sieged before, but I've spent a lot of time with the Baron, who has had his forces building a lot of defensive battlements.
Well, what is your advice?
The sooner we get started, the sooner we can go home.
Okay, I guess we'll start sieging then.
If we have any wise and learned engineers, cutting off any external river access would probably quicken the siege quite a bit. There's no accounting for wells and such, but if there's any waterways bringing fresh water in, stopping that would be a good start.
Okay.
Have we considered flinging corpses or piles of human feces? Does anyone know how to make catapults? So I haven't done a lot of sieging myself. I've just heard the horrifying crimes that Uther committed, so...
I mean, I guess there's a siege as in an assault upon the walls to try and bring them down, and there is a siege as in denying comfort to the people inside the city for as long as their supplies hold out. But I mentioned
yeah. Well, Paul looks around and says, "We can do one of those things."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, storming the walls is not exactly.
I was looking up before the AP. So the siege skill was brought in the books of Knights and Ladies, and if you use it, it's got a default value of 2 for Cymric males and 5 for Cymric females.
But we're developing the art of siege right here, which is why we're giving you. Wait, did you say 2 for males and 5 for females?
5 for females. Yeah.
Why are they so good at sieging?
Because they're always at home when the place gets attacked. So they're the ones.
Ask Greg Stafford. Oh, you can't. He's dead.
I don't need to ask Greg Stafford. He gave me the Greg Stafford blessing. All right? He showed up in my YouTube comment section and said, "This is good." That's all I need to know. You know what I could do, James? I could take everything Greg Stafford's ever said, feed it into an AI, a character AI generator, and then have that Greg Stafford tell me what he thinks. I'd do the same thing with Gary Gygax, but it would then just tell me that all women are whores. So.
Why don't we start by trying to dam off the river up above? Or I mean, is there river access in the city to...
There is fresh water that flows in.
Okay.
Through some channels.
Yeah. We'll start by trying to dam that off, I guess.
Okay. I'd like you to roll siege, Kendric.
Yeah. All right. 5% chance.
That's right. Well, what's their siege skill? Because it's an opposed skill.
We're not opposing right now, but...
You can impassion, get yourself to a 6.
Yeah, and then when I most assuredly fail... bad things happen. Mm-hmm. So I'll just roll and take my 5% chance.
He wants a 1. Like shouting for a 1 before.
Yeah.
See, if you
now look, this doesn't mean that they immediately break out or anything. It just means everybody's miserable right now, right? You do not have enough men to surround the walls of Oxford, and so it has devolved into 2 camps, and those camps are becoming less temporary and more permanent. And as a result, you're in a situation where over the coming days, you're having to figure out, where do you get your water? Where do you put your shit? Where are you getting your supplies from? Normally, you'd have peasants bring you food, but the peasants around here don't like you. You're actively holding dozens of them back from getting into Oxford. You're acting as a occupying police force and a military at the same time. And things are just getting tense. Everyone is getting frazzled. Sure. And Kendric, it's clear that you don't have good control over the situation. Which is fine. This is your first siege of a major city. Also, it's not fine because things are going to go bad quickly.
We're okay because we brought food.
That will last you for some time. It's not going to last you forever.
Well, where are they getting their food?
They have a whole fucking castle that has a stocked multi-year larder.
Okay.
Whether that has been maintained is a different question.
They haven't been taxing their peasants.
Well, they have been taxing their peasants. It's just the only thing they're taking is the food.
Mm.
They don't care about road maintenance or treaties or luxuries. They just want to eat meat, drink wine, and put their feet on the table. Listen, they live a libertarian lifestyle. They don't need these roads to work. Who's maintaining these roads? Horses are. Horses are maintaining the roads.
How do you get the food from the fields to the castle?
Through the roads that the horses are
they're not maintaining.
Yeah, the horses will maintain them. Listen, they're putting the onus of responsibility on the land holders rather than the land owners.
Sure.
It's a revolutionary new political tactic that's 300, 400 years old. He's just bringing it back. All Bellius ever wanted was to bring back traditional rule.
All right, so are we doing another siege roll, or
no? I think we're gonna end here, and I'm gonna spend time until our next episode figuring out how I want to do this. But Sir Beige's story is definitely not over. Beige wandering with almost 100 people and a bunch of horses and cattle into the Forest Sauvage while explicitly forbidden to do so by the fairies that live there is definitely going to have repercussions.
For him.
He comes back out. He's wearing a Walt Disney ear hat. He's just like, I've seen the future.
The reason I was saying that Siege is contested is because obviously we're having trouble maintaining our people.
Yes.
They've also got to maintain order inside a city where food and now water are being cut off. They might have a whole bunch of food there, but they've still got to like probably how to ration that and how to make sure people feel like they're being supported as well. So
I agree with all of that, James. I just haven't decided what I want his siege skill to be. Whether he's good at this or bad at this. Now, I will point out that the inherent defensive value of the institution he's in gives him a bonus. And considering that the inherent defensive value of Oxford's like 20 plus, he basically can't fail the roll.
But that's a siege roll. That's for like a tax on it. Like your walls don't grow food. Or provide water.
Man. It would make my life so much easier. Yeah. What if money did grow on trees? When is the next time we can meet? When is the hour that we shall next draw swords together, brothers?
I know I'm out on the 10th. Or 11th, whatever it is. I'm out that weekend of the 11th of January.
Okay.
And the 28th?
So it'll be the 18th or the 25th.
18th. It will be some time before we ride together once more.
About a month.
At that time.
But at least we got this Christmas miracle in.
Yeah, it is indeed a miracle. What I really love about it is that I thought we were all in agreement that this episode was going to happen. We just weren't going to tell the audience. And then when I was like, hey, everybody, let's check in, Glimo was like, I'd written that off. And I was like, no!
But
Nothing changed!
You mentioned the Christmas miracle like 2 intro hours ago.
I know, but Glimo wasn't there.
Well, I wasn't at the intro hour.
It's so funny because he was at last night's, but last night's has been deleted because I was like, depression sucks. Culloden thinks about committing suicide, and everything he writes sounds strangely familiar to me. I think I just
demonetized. Now this episode just got demonetized too.
Okay, we're way past the first 5 minutes.
That's not how that works, but okay. Money grows on avocado trees? Yeah, I guess so. Not if they're grown in the California desert, but other than that, sure. Oh, wow. All right, we're locked into a real siege. So, I don't know. I think we're probably going to see like an escalation of gathering forces. You know, like people who are mercenaries and camp followers, that sort of deal. That's what we should be looking for.
I mean, that's what we need is Paul to get the Countess to basically be trying to like recruit basically to be offering like some of the wealth of Oxford to anyone that joins. Yeah. Up to our army,
we
basically.
know that there are mercenaries gathering around the Countess. It's just that she hasn't paid them to do anything yet.
Yeah.
Now that you've successfully instituted a siege. On the other hand, she does have 2 other castles to divide her time with and peasants to punish and that sort of thing. All these rebels. Rebel scum.
Well, if she doesn't want to commit to it, she can have her 2 castles and Oxford can stay occupied. We'll go home.
Ah, yes. The classic political movement, Occupy Oxford. I know it well. That's where the peasants laugh at all the people in the high educational towers, right? Instead of the people in the high educational towers laughing down on them. Of course. Any closing thoughts or outroductions or Glimoisms that we need to do here before we wrap this episode up?
I'm Glimo. I will be doing some crafting streams over the next couple months because Mardi Gras is coming. So there'll be some mask making and costume sewing and plunger glittering and all sorts of other things. So twitch.tv/Glimo and or hit me up in Arthur's Discord and I'll let you know when I'm streaming.
That plunger thing was a little different than all the other things.
my Mardi Gras crew, our signature throw are glittered and bedazzled plungers, which is why I have a box of 100 of these that just came in today.
That's super reasonable.
All about bulk discount.
Right.
Audience, if you're not coming to Imperium Maledictum tomorrow, I'm not going to see you until Christmas Eve. Well, I'll be doing a special super long form intro hour, or as otherwise known, just a general gaming stream. But
you guys see some Christmas carols on the stream?
I don't sing on stream because I like to keep my viewership levels where they're at rather than plummet into the ground.
What's your favorite Christmas carol?
Feliz Navidad, followed very closely by Mariah Carey doing basically anything.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Mariah Carey's Heartbreaker is technically a Christmas carol in my eyes.
Favorite Christmas carol?
Favorite Christmas carol? I mean, the classic is like "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," but my favorite Christmas song is "Last Christmas" by Wham.
Are you gonna play it near me? You'll be all right. We can stay friends. During December, that is.
Hey, I'm already out. So Savannah
okay.
knocked me out 4 days after she got knocked out.
Did she PvP it?
Not on purpose. It was accidental.
That's low.
It was accidental.
The worst whamming I had was I made it all the way to Christmas Eve, and my wife and I used to listen to like this radio trivia show at 11 p.m. every night before midnight. And they had a question of like, what song is like, usually the song related to Whamageddon. And when the person answered, they played like a snippet of the song on the radio at like 11:38 on Christmas Eve. Like, fuck you guys. Glimo, favorite Christmas carol?
Christmas in Sarajevo by Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Okay.
Does that have lyrics? I don't know that it's technically a Christmas carol, but I didn't listen to any actual Christmas carols, so I don't know why I'm yapping about that. That is a fucking sick song, though, so don't get me wrong.
I'm gonna say "Carol of the Bells" is my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, especially there's a version I play of at Christmas, which is an epic mix of it with the Star Wars Imperial March.
Nice,
horrifying, truly horrifying. Major or minor key?
A minor for Carol of the Bells, minor. Needs that sort of that grimdark energy.
You have 27 hours left to donate to our Make-A-Wish International charity. Find out more on Discord. Can we beat 340? We could. Anything's possible. Rad says you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Also technically not a Christmas carol. Also kind of surprising from him. That's sort of a dick move song, and he's really the non-dick move guy, so. I feel like...
Rad could be a dick when he wants to.
Yeah, but when it comes to when it comes to the war on Christmas, Rad is the guy standing on the other side from me, all right? I'm the general on one side of the battle lines, and he's the guy that's trying to snipe me from the other battle lines from the trench. All right? He's a Christmas heretical believer, fully involved in the multi-Christmas lifestyle. Just winning every year. You're only winning because 90% of the planet's behind you. They've lost all focus. Christmas is one day a year, guys. One day. You get a solid 2-week period to celebrate it. Let Christmas be concentrated again. Believe in it. Believe in the spirit. All right. I'm bailing before I get into a Twitter argument with Radisaurus.
You're only winning because you're winning.
See, there it is. It's already started.